Hello students, welcome to computer science class. Today we will start with the new chapter, that is basic concepts of OOP, that is object oriented programming. We had already seen about the object oriented programming, that is classes objects in your first PUC, and also we had seen about it in the previous chapter, that is review of C++. And this is a chapter in which again some information about the object oriented programming is given. It is a small chapter. We'll see this now. Object oriented programming is a principle of design and development of programs using modular approach. The object oriented programming approach provides advantages in creation and development of software for real life applications. So in the development of software, such as any of the softwares, it might be for the computer or might be for the mobile phones. For that we use some programming languages, and all these programming languages are object oriented programming languages. That is, it is a combination of data and functions, and these functions will operate on the data. So some of the object oriented programming languages are C++, what you are studying already, Java, C#, Smalltalk, Perl and Python. So we'll see the concepts, that is some characteristics of object oriented programming, or the concept what we deal in this chapter, that is objects, classes, data abstraction, data encapsulation, inheritance, overloading, polymorphism, dynamic binding, message passing. About all these concepts we had already discussed once, and we will see this in detail today. What is objects? Objects are basic building blocks for the designing of programs. An object is a collection of data and associated member functions. So it is a collection of data members and member functions. So an object may be a person or a place or a table, anything. Each object is identified by a unique name, and each object must be a member of particular class. So this is very important. Each object is a member of particular class. We cannot call the object simply. We cannot write the object name simply. It should be from some class. Example, apple, orange, mango, anything. And this apple, orange, mango, it can be an object of the class fruit. Objects take up space in memory and have address associated with them. At the time of execution of a program, objects interact by sending messages to another object. The object can interact with another object without having to know details of the data or functions within the object. So an object of one class can interact with an object of the same class. If the class is student and there are 10 students, then there are 10 objects. That is, student 1 is one object, student 2 is one object, student 3 is one object, so on till student 10. And what will be the member functions or data members? The data members can be name, register number, course, and member functions can be get data, display data, all that. We already had these programs. Next is classes. The objects can be made user-defined data types with the help of a class. A class is a collection of objects that have identical properties, common behavior, and shared relationship. Once class is defined, any number of objects of that class is created. Classes are user-defined data types. A class can hold both data and functions. For example, planets, sun, moon are members of the class solar system. So class contains data members and member functions, and these are accessed using the object. So object is a part of class, data members and data types make the class, and these data members and data functions can be accessed or used by the object of that class. Next topic is data abstraction. Data abstraction refers to the process of representing essential features without including background details or explanations. So here what we do, we give one name to that data and we don't give any more information about that data, and only by that small name what we give, with that only the object can use that data. The object doesn't require any background information or more explanation of that data if that data is abstracted. It is for some security purposes we can do that. For example, student using object name student1, let the object be student1, and the class student has name of the student and all personal details of the student, but the object student1 can access the member functions and data members of the class, and it can also access it without knowing the personal details, without seeing the details, so that the data will be secured. Next is data encapsulation. The wrapping of data and functions into a single unit is called data encapsulation. So data encapsulation enables data hiding and information hiding. So even data encapsulation, it is also used for security purpose only here. Here the data can be hidden and information can be hidden. That is, if the class is named as private, then only the one who can access that class can only view that class. No others can view the information of that class, so that the data of that class can be hidden. And data hiding is a method used in the object-oriented programming to hide information within the computer code. So here data will be hidden using some code. Next concept is inheritance. Inheritance is a process by which one object can acquire and use the properties of another object. For example, if there is two parents, then the child will get the properties of both the parents. If the son will get the property, that is the features or the behavior of mother also and father also. In the same way here, inheritance means acquiring the features of the parent class or the origin class. And here the new existing class is known as, that is a parent, it is known as base class or super class. And the derived class, that is child class, the child is known as derived class and or subclass. The derived class shares some of the properties of the base class. Therefore, a code from the base class can be reused by the derived class. Next is overloading. Overloading allows objects to have different meaning depending upon context. There are two types of overloading. One is operator overloading and the next is function overloading. When an existing operator operates on new data type, it is known as operator overloading. That is, operator means plus, minus, all those operators. That is, a plus can be used in addition, and also we can also use plus in concatenation, that is to combine two strings, concat, or we can also use the plus symbol for increment, plus plus. That is known as operator overloading. Next is function overloading. This means two or more functions have same but different number of arguments or data types. That is, a function with same name but two different, the first function will have the name sum a comma b, which means a and b can be added. There will be one more function in the same program, that is sum of a comma b comma c, which means a plus b plus c can be done. So here what happens, both the function has the same name sum but arguments are different. This is known as function overloading. So when the program calls sum a comma b comma c, the function with the three arguments will be called. When the program calls sum of a comma b, the function with the two arguments will be called. This is how function overloading is done. Next concept is polymorphism. So what is polymorphism? Ability of an operator or function to take multiple forms is known as polymorphism. You know, poly means many. So the different types of polymorphisms are operator overloading and function overloading. So the same concept what I explained before, operator overloading and function overloading, it is only comes under polymorphism. That is, one function can have same name but it can be called by many times, and the same name with the different arguments. It can have same name and different arguments, or sometimes it will have same name only and no arguments, but it will be called by different objects of the class, or it will be inside a inherited class. That is, if for example shape is a inherited base class, then under shape there will be three classes: triangle, rectangle, circle. So what happens there? Shape is a new base class, shape is a parent class, and from shape you have triangle, rectangle and circle as the inherited class or child classes. Here shape will have one function, that is draw, and that shape function can be used by all these three classes: triangle, rectangle and circle. Shape class will have one function, draw, and this draw function can be used by triangle, rectangle and circle, three classes also. That is because it is inherited class. When we inherit, what happens? All the features of parent we will also get. In the same way here, the function of the class shape, that is draw, can be used by all the other three classes, and this is also known as polymorphism. This is known as function polymorphism, function overloading. And the next concept is dynamic binding. Binding is a process of connecting one program to another, and dynamic binding is process of linking the procedure call to a specific sequence of code or function at runtime during the execution of the program. So here, what is binding? Binding means you are connecting one program to another. Same way, dynamic means we connect the programs during the execution of the program. And the next concept is message passing. In object-oriented programming, processing is done by sending messages to objects. A message for an object is request for execution of procedure. So message passing involves specifying the name of the object, the name of the function, and the information to be sent. So here, what is the message sending? Message sending means object is sending the message to class or to the control. That is the name of the object. If for example student is the class and student 1 is the object of the class student, then how the message is sent? And the class student will have the function display. Then the message will be sent as s1 dot display, and inside display any information will be there. Display what? Display student name, display student register number. That is known as message passing. Next, we'll see the advantage of object-oriented programming over the earlier programming. Earlier programming means which were not object-oriented, that is C and other HTML and other programming languages. The programs are modularized based on the principle of classes and objects. So here the programs are modularized. In object-oriented programming, the programs are modularized based on principle of classes and objects. Linking code and object allows related object to share common code. This reduces code duplication and code reusability. So here the program becomes short because we don't have to write, if in case, as I said before, draw function of the parent class can be used by three functions also and three classes also. And here we don't need to write the draw function again and again. The entire function of draw we don't have to write in three classes also. We can only write it once in the main class in the shape. And later, only by using the function name draw, we can call it in all the other three functions. This is known as code reusability and avoiding of code duplication. Same code cannot be, no need of writing the same code again and again. What happens? This reduces the programs become smaller in size. Creation and implementation of object-oriented programming code is easy and reduces software development time. So because of object-oriented or OOP or OOPS concepts, object-oriented programming is also known as OOPS. That is OOPS, object-oriented programming. The concept of data abstraction separates the object specification and object implementation. And data encapsulation is also with functions, and this gives more security and it provides data security. That is because external or non-member functions cannot access or modify the data, and it provides the security to data. And earlier, to develop complex software, because complexity can be minimized through inheritance, and now there in object-oriented programming there is no concepts like very complex programs are not there, because through inheritance no need of repeating the code. Therefore the complex software is reduced and it is easy to develop a complicated or big softwares. Object-oriented programming can communicate through message passing, which makes interface description with outside system very simple. Next is limitations or disadvantages of object-oriented programming. That is slower programs. Object-oriented programming typically slower than procedure-based programs, as they typically require more instructions to be executed, and it is not suitable for all types of programs. And to convert a real-world problem into an object-oriented model, it is difficult. And object-oriented programming, software development, debugging, testing tools are not standardized. Polymorphism and dynamic binding also requires processing time and due to overload of function call during the runtime. These are some of the limitations. They are the very small limitations. Next is applications of object-oriented programming or OOPS. That is computer graphics application, CAD or CAM software, object-oriented database, user interface design such as Windows, real-time systems, simulation and modeling, artificial intelligence and expert systems, client-server systems. So these are the applications where object-oriented programs are used. In computer graphics, it is used. In real-time systems, it is used. Simulation and modeling. Simulation means you might have seen how planes are taught to study, or if you have gone to learn the four-wheelers, first what they do, they directly don't give you the car, they give you the simulator. That is, in a room there will be a setup and you sit there and you drive like how you have to drive the car in the same way you drive, and it is known as simulation. Even to learn for the pilots, plane is not given directly. They learn through simulation, to simulators. For this, object-oriented system is used. And artificial intelligence and expert systems. Artificial intelligence means in robots and all, how the robots are made, the moving objects. For the moving objects, the moving technological objects or electronic objects, artificial intelligence is used, and there object-oriented programming is used. Client-server system means you can say one server with many computers attached to that. In big companies, there will be one server and thousands of computers are connected to it, and everyone can access the data from each system, and it is known as client-server system. And here also object-oriented programming is used. So this is about the chapter object-oriented programming, that is basic concepts of object-oriented programming. Thank you.